listen, the only thing I have is myself. My body, I'm 44. I saw it get older. So for sure at some point, my body will no longer be. What will I have then? Stuff that's on the outside, you have it one day, maybe one day you don't have it. One thing is for sure, at some point, when your body is no more, whatever you think you have on the outside, it's gone. So what do you have? Nothing. False. I have myself. So this is why I've decided to invest my energy and focus on that, because this is the only thing I have, myself. Now, I don't know who the fuck is myself. I started off like every single one of you, lost and confused, jacking off on fucking porn. That's why I speak like this, so that you understand. Ain't no difference between me and you. Jacking off on porn, watching a guy fuck a girl up her ass like a moron on my fucking PC, like an idiot, thinking that that's like the summum bonum, top of life experience. Oh no, I'm gonna go to the club and get laid. That would be the top. So I can replicate what I saw in porn. No. So what did I learn? Well, I'm suffering. Why am I suffering? Because I don't have control. How the fuck you can control everything? You can't. What can I rely on? Nothing on the outside. Even I've experienced this, and a lot of you have lived this at some point. You know, at some point you're a guy, and you got your guy friends, and you got your best friend. Until one day you realize your best friend, he's a bitch. Some of you have lived this. So even that, you can't rely on your best friend, because at some point your so-called best friend, you grew up and everybody's minds now start to take over. You're a little kid, it's not so crystallized yet. Now as you end your teenage years and you're in your 20s, your identity starts to like solidify. So now the stuff that once upon a time was less important become more important, and there's a clash. So now suddenly what? I can't really be with there's a clash. Oh, it's happened to some of you. It's happened to me. A very sad moment. Hurt my heart. It's like, damn, that was my best friend. And then we just had a fight in a parking lot. And if it wasn't for the fact that we loved each other so much, I think we'd punch the living shit out of one another. And that's the end of that. So I can't rely on that. You love your parents. Some of you have parents, good parents who give you everything. Can you really rely on them? At what cost do they give you everything? Yeah, there's a cost to it. So can you rely on that if you want to be an autonomous, individuated individual who thinks and lives according to what's true for them? No, because whatever they're offering is conditional to you obeying and being a nice little son or daughter. I'm not a son or daughter. That's not what defines me. I am not a son or daughter. I don't want to be a son or daughter. Do you? That's a burden. Now, I have no problem with having responsibilities and contracts that I have to pay off with these people that associate themselves with being my parents. That means they birthed my body. They didn't do anything. Nature did it, and nature used their bodies to birth my body. Fine, respect. I'm very glad to be of service, and I'm very happy to oblige. I'm not a son. That's contract. For people, this is harsh. They get very sad because everything for them needs to be emotional. And that's why you're weak. When you discover reality for yourself and you dive into the true nature of how everything is organized, you become more pragmatic. It kind of sounds like you're heartless. I'm not heartless. I'm full of heart. I love people. But the comedy that we play with one another, I have no tolerance for. Because it's boring, it sucks, and it's untrue. And it hides the reality, and instead of focusing on the real nature of the relationship so that we can accomplish what it is that we set out to accomplish, then we have to waste in all this emotional goop. You want emotion and drama? Watch TV. Watch a movie, enjoy the drama. In my life, I don't want no fucking drama. I want business, I want to accomplish things, I want to create things, and I want to go home at night, I want fucking peace of mind. Yeah, so at the end of the day, as you start to mature and become more intelligent, it's like, well, what do I have? Me. If you put me in a jail cell and I have one leg, what do I have? Me. Where does suffering come from? In my head. So perhaps I can unfuck myself. Perhaps I can have control or temper or arrange or align or whatever word you want to use for the sake of conversation right now to unfuck my brain so I don't suffer. So how do I do that? And now, as you start to discover this, so there is, I have my mind. So who's I? Who's self? Who has a mind and who has a body that I can establish myself in? And what is this I, which has a body and has a mind, connected to, that I can rely on? That's real. That's going to be here today. It is today. It's going to be tomorrow. It was there a year ago, 10 years ago, and it's going to be there when my body perishes. Well, that's what I'm looking for, because that's the only thing I can have. That's the only thing that nobody can take away. Everything else is going to be taken away. Even no matter how hard you are, no matter how cool you are, it doesn't matter. All of this is going to be taken away. It's just a matter of time. So how could you not see that? You must be a moron if you don't want to see that. That's pretty obvious in everybody's face. Once upon a time, I remember this girl was gorgeous. Now time does its work. I don't want to say she's not gorgeous, but it's not the same. Once upon a time, that shirt was new. Now that shirt ain't new. Once upon a time, you were new. Now you're not. So there's a way that this process can be made smooth, so it's like seasoned rather than old and ugly. Fine, it's like mature wine. Congratulations. But at the end of the day, it's going to also go. So what is it that nobody can take away? What is it that actually belongs to me? Dare I say, for the sake of conversation, belongs to me, because maybe as you go deeper, even that is not yours. But what do you care? Because you belong to something greater than yourself. Well, that's my concern. And as you start to develop that and understand this and put the pieces together, and then your mind starts to establish itself and settle itself. This is how I'm constructed. This is what I am able to express through the setup that I have, which technically has nothing to do with me. It's nature's setup, but I'm in the middle. I am the witness or the experiencer of this setup. So how can I make my life smooth as to avoid unnecessary friction, unnecessary headaches, unnecessary drama, and unnecessary shackles that make me suffer? Now that's the basic, that's smart people. What I'm teaching you is basic yogic thinking. It's not, to use the word yogic thinking would be a mistake, but it's not a mistake, because this is exactly what yogic thinking is. But it's not yogic thinking because this is how a smart person thinks. Just observe the nature of the world around you. So what do you want to do? What does everyone want to do? Avoid suffering? Some people say people are seeking pleasure. No, I don't believe that. They seek pleasure in order to avoid suffering. What you're trying to do is avoid suffering, because when we remove suffering, what's there? Peace. And we can say that peace is the greatest pleasure. And pleasure is greater than peace. So what everybody's doing is trying to avoid suffering. So if you're intelligent, you figure this out on your own. You don't need to read a fucking book to figure this out. Everything I'm doing is trying to avoid suffering. So where does my suffering come from? My suffering comes from my ignorance. The ignorance of reality, the ignorance of who I am, the ignorance of how the world works, the ignorance of where I am, how this, not society, the world, I don't want to say creations because it gets too big, but you understand, where am I, how does it work? Because apparently I don't know how to function in it. That's why I'm suffering. So what I'm trying to do is to avoid suffering. So that's why I want to buy that car. Yeah, but does that car avoid suffering, or is it bringing a new set of problems? So I have nothing against the car. What's my fundamental pain? Well, that's what I want to resolve. And my fundamental pain is I feel unsafe. I'm afraid because I have no control. Because the reality is you live in the middle of an ocean. And the ocean has its own intelligence and its own pulsation, its own rhythm. And you have no idea that living in a little tiny little bubble, pretending that you're the doer and you're in charge. No wonder you're insane. And then you meet another person who's as insane as you, and you two collide. Who's going to win? That's pain and suffering. I've done it. I've lived it. I don't want anything to do with that, because it's not based in reality. The outcome of this is only pain. So why would you select that for yourself? Because you're dumb. You're ignorant is the right word. I apologize, but I'm going to call it dumb because I like to talk slang. You're an idiot. You're ignorant. That's ignorance. That's why we say ignorance is the cause of all suffering. Watching videos on YouTube doesn't give you knowledge. It gives you information. Don't confuse information for knowledge. Knowledge has to be self-realized within yourself. That means you discover the truth. You discover reality for yourself. And how do you do that? You need to be set on a path of self-discovery. And how do you do that? You need a teacher. Woohoo! No teacher, you're not going to journey into the darkness very far. And you'll go cuckoo. But of course, you don't know that because you just bought an online course that tells you that you're going to do that in about 2 days. So anyways, sarcasm aside, what do I have? Myself. So wherever I go now, I have myself. If you put me in a jail, I have myself. And myself has nothing to do, and myself has nothing to do with the outside circumstances. In other words, if you take me and you take off my legs, yeah, I fucking love running. I love moving. I love dancing. I love fucking kicking ass. Great. If you take off my legs, well, I still have myself. I'm going to go through a process of mourning, and I promise you, I'm going to see the alignment in it, exhale into it, and it's going to be fine. And what? But I'll lose myself? Zero. If I go to jail, who wants to go to jail? Nobody wants to go to jail. But let's say that you're in jail. Did anything really change for me besides my outside circumstances? No. I still have myself, and my life in the big picture remains the same. It's just that now I'm in a scene that's in the jail. Oh, that's the reality. I still have myself, and life, the storyline, my journey hasn't changed. Now I'm just in a movie, I'm in a scene in the jail. Now who wants to be that? Who wants to live there? Nobody. But nevertheless, you can't take that, you can't take myself away from me. You don't have control over that. So that's why it's the most important thing. And that's why it's the number one thing in my life. And when you start to have your own self, then everywhere you go, you can respect yourself, which means you also respect another person because you're not a thief. If I have myself, I don't need to steal something from you. It's because you don't have yourself that you need to steal energy from another person. If you have yourself, you have lots of fucking energy. You have infinite amount of energy, dare I say, for the lifespan that your body has in order to fulfill a certain kind of function. I have myself. So when I interact with you, well, clearly there's a reason. It's so that there's a form of give and take and an exchange. I want that to be productive, useful, so that I learn something. And if I can be of service to you, I gladly will. Then that's it. Then I want to go home. I don't want to have to think about you. I don't want to be one up on you. I don't give a fuck. So when I have myself, I also respect you and yourself and your boundaries. So if we apply this to a relationship with women, well, once again, I respect myself. Hence, I respect her because I can see inside myself. I can see inside of her also. Right? If you're a person who goes to the hairdresser and appreciates having a nice haircut, so when you see a person in the street with a nice haircut, you recognize it. If you're a guy who goes to the gym and cares about the gym, you recognize the person who puts that effort. If you like fashion, you recognize the person who makes an effort to have a nice, matching of clothing and it fits well. So when you have a sense of yourself, you get to discover that you can see it in another person. Even if they don't see it, you can see inside of them what's there. Hence, you respect them. You respect the boundaries, and you see where is it that we can have a mutually benefiting exchange if there is any need to. If there's no need to, well, I just sympathize with you as I'm passing by. I don't have to impose myself. So if the lady in this circumstance decides to quote unquote cheat on me, she ain't cheating on me. You don't cheat on me. I don't fucking care. It's your life. So that means you don't want this exchange. Great. If you don't want this exchange, I don't want the exchange either because it's not going to yield what we've agreed or what the contract agreed on. So you're not, I don't feel I got cheated. I didn't get cheated. She's just unprofessionally stated her case that she's not interested in doing that. But I would see that in the future because you can feel when a person is not serious. I'm not going to drag it along and pretend that this is going somewhere so that no. I don't want drama in my life. So our exchange now is based on we want to create something. So if you want to create something, every day you have to bring more of yourself into the equation. If the person stalls, then eventually there's no energy, so they're going to go outside to suck. So by that time, I'm already going to cancel the contract. But let's, for the sake of conversation, pretend that the girl so-called cheats on me. She ain't cheating on me. She's disrespecting the contract. Her disrespecting the contract breaks and nullifies the contract. It doesn't take away something from me. How did I become less because she decided to cancel the contract? But you as an intelligent entrepreneur should see that the person, your associate is not serious and is not doing the necessary work so that it doesn't have to go to such a place. Because that's uncomfortable for everybody, including the person she's cheating with. Now, I don't want to be in a threesome or foursome. I don't want to wait. I don't fucking care. I'm here to create, to generate, to be in a harmonious relationship as best as possible considering the nature of our times. I don't want to fuck around. I don't want to play you. I don't want to be played. So if I can see that you're trying to play, I'm not blind. I'm not blind to the game. Please. So go over there, and when you're done fucking around, and we can, if we can still co-create something, wonderful. That's how I approach things. And all of this stems from I have myself, which means I have my own value, inherent value. And by the discovery of myself, I also understand the nature I'm constituted with. That means, what am I constructed of? That means what your mind. What's your mind made of? And your mind means your body also. What's your nature? What can you do? We obviously can't do the same things. This person does this person does that, this person does this person does that, and I do this. That's what I bring. That's what my nature does. Wonderful. So I respect myself. I respect other people. I respect that when we bring energies together, it creates something greater. If you don't want to bring these energies together, I also generate my own light. That's fine. We live in a world where people want to steal from one another because they don't have the most essential thing to have, yourself. Or their self is a construct in their minds. That means that's not yourself, that's an idea. That's not you. You have an experience of yourself. Or if you do, it's very, very little, and you need fucking drugs. That's not you, it's you experiencing mushroom. You're experiencing, it's like looking at yourself through the window. That's not you, that's you through the window. And it lasts a fraction of a second, and it's gone. No more. You can't even remember. You don't even know how to get there again. Because it was not real. You were on the mushroom. So anyways, all this to say, I put things together. I apologize. The point is, if you don't have yourself, you don't have anything. That's my prerogative. This is in my opinion, what intelligence is about. Because you can discern, diagnose the root cause of suffering. And this can be applied now all the way down to the health of your toe. Without this, well, in my humble opinion, you're doomed to have suffering. And if you suffer, that means you have to numb yourself. And if you numb yourself, that means you're not feeling what's going on. That means you lose sense of reality. And that means you're also going to be depleted, which means you're going to have to steal energy and suck energy from people. Now, who the hell wants to do that? Imagine you have to suck. Imagine you're like some kind of star on TV, right? Let's not break it down because some people think that these people are the pinnacle of success. But for the sake of conversation, humor me. Imagine you have to suck energy from 1 million people. That's a lot of contracts. That's a lot of fucking karma. That's heavy. That's what I'm trying to say. All this so that you can feel good about yourself for 5 seconds. Bad deal. All this to say, if you don't have yourself, you need to create strategies to suck. These strategies can be amazing, such as making music. We've covered this here. I don't want to do that because it doesn't work. Now I'm going to say it doesn't work for me so that you feel more comfortable. It doesn't work. These are strategies that fail. And all you got to do is study history, start with your parents, and you see these are failed. These strategies do not work. So if they don't work, why am I going to be stupid enough to insist that this is going to work when I've already tried them and I failed and I suffered? That's all I got to say about that one.